Ever wonder what sets the winners apart from the losers? And what does it really take to be a winner? My name is Federico, and I'm a young, successful entrepreneur passionate about sports, real estate, mindset, and business. If you are just like me, then the Winning Ways podcast is meant for you. Yo, welcome back to Winning Ways with Fred. My name is Federico, and I am your host, guys. New show for you guys today, a TikTok specialist, something that I'm very intrigued in. And as it looks like it, TikTok is going to be the number one social media platform within the next 2 years. So something you guys got to get on, especially if you have a business or trying to build a brand. Guys, I always mention this, and I will forever. Please share the show. I'm not going to run ads on this. I find it annoying when people run ads on shows that I listen to, so I'm not going to do that. So the only way I'm going to grow it is through word of mouth. So please share it. Now, without further ado, Gerardo Perez, how are you, bro?
Good, brother. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you too, bro. So tell us about your journey, man, how you started off and how you built your agency. You're an agency by day and a TikToker by night. Run us through that.
Yeah, that's a witty way to put it. So yeah, a couple years back, I think I was in college at the time. I started my first brand. Just not to ruin the story too quick, but it wasn't terribly successful. But that being said, starting my first brand taught me so many different things. Everything related to social media, digital marketing, web design, branding, manufacturing. I mean, you name it, right? So I think there's like this really interesting quote that I absolutely live by. It's like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. That's Steve Jobs right there. But yeah, like looking back at it in hindsight, just all the skills that I acquired little by little actually helped me develop into the position where I am right now. So fast forward a little bit later, started offering sort of like services related to what I learned because of my first brand to smaller scale businesses, friends and family, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, right? Started running Facebook ads, do a little bit of web design, branding, just everything under the sun at the time. And there came a point in time where I decided to start creating content for myself on TikTok. That was almost crazy enough to say it, like almost 3 years ago, December before the pandemic. And yeah, just started creating content, really just refining my voice on the platform. I started posting about different things that interested me, self-development, books, marketing, podcasts, business stories, just everything that I was generally interested in, and just started refining and shaping my voice over time. And little by little, I started actually getting requests for brands were actually requesting me to help them with TikTok related services. And I think around a year and a half ago, I decided to fully pivot into TikTok related services, which is basically organic growth, helping brands actually create teams of content creators that they can consistently post and show up on the platform, as well as TikTok ads on the creative side, scripting, and actual ad management as well. And little by little, as I started refining those services specifically, but really niching down, that's where I started finding a lot more success and being able to scale.
Dude, that's awesome.
And get really cool opportunities as well. Yeah.
A great story.
Yeah. So
just to like
TikTok changed my life, dude.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if you uncover it too, it's like TikTok changed your life, but bro, you took risks. It sounds like, you were doing little different things through online and all that, which led you to do this. And we're going to dive into the TikTok because that's what I'm really interested in. My audience will be too. What made you stand out at first via TikTok that started getting brands to reach out to you to help them?
Yeah. So, I mean, in hindsight, I was a very early adopter in the educational space.
Okay.
I remember probably like 10, 15 people that I had met. And I know 10, 15 people sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about an entire social media platform, it's nothing.
Yeah.
We kind of just like stepped into it and kind of ventured into the short form edutainment space. And I mean, crazy to think about it now, but we were incredibly early and we kind of like pioneered that entire ecosystem. But anyways, I think being early was a huge advantage. And then additionally, having the social proof on my own end, being able to build my own profile, also gave brands a lot of confidence that we can help them out as well. I mean, dude, just to be honest with you, I think at the time, and I still am, it's just like to a different degree. At the time when I started TikTok, I was fucking obsessed. Like there was nothing else I could think about throughout the day other than TikTok. Like what's trending on the platform? What can I get inspired by my day-to-day activities to actually create content based off of it. My mind was just operating like in terms of TikTok, 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 which honestly, it was the only way that I could actually find success on the platform as well. It's like one of those things that being obsessed is actually an asset. But yeah, I was incredibly obsessed.
For sure, man. I mean, like Grant Cardone's book, "Be Obsessed or Be Average." That's how you get to the top in your certain industry. Now, when you say you were obsessed and you're looking at trends, so you were making your own content, you were videotaping yourself and putting yourself out there and just following the trends, and little by little it helped you grow.
So no, I would never create trend related content. That's the interesting thing. Like I tell people, like, I haven't danced a single time on the app because if you take a step back, like 2-3 years ago, I guess the biggest sort of like conflict is that from the outside ecosystem, people thought that TikTok was like lip singing and dancing and like all these little like foolish skits. And
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 80% of the platform. Yeah, 80% of the platform was. But the thing is, I was so focused on the other 20% of the platform. Like, how were people communicating their ideas in like 15 to 20 seconds? That's kind of like what I meant about trends and stuff like that. I remember at the time also, it was like, what kind of Easter egg can you hide within your background or within your videos to cause more engagement? How can you stir the pot? Like, how can you growth hack your way by at the same time still giving valuable content and tips? So that's kind of like where my focus was primarily.
So you
Not so
attack
much the dancing.
I get that, man. Because like right now, that's one of the things too. If you don't know about TikTok, the first thing you think about is what you're saying, lip singing and dancing. So I'm here like, all right, man, how do I get my TikTok to go a little bit? Right now, I'm just posting pretty much clips of the podcasts. But my girlfriend was like, why don't you go dance? I don't think it's my personality to get up there and just like dance. It's just not who I am. So I'm here like trying to find another way to organically grow that doesn't have to me. Like I'll talk and speak, but just not dance, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And you don't have to. I mean, I think a great thing, if you're not necessarily comfortable speaking or dancing, you can simply rely on what I like to call like point and shoot content, where essentially you have different text inserts on screen and you have music overlay in the background, which is a little more entertaining for people as well, and just highlighting or getting your point across in that sense as well. So there's not like one way to kind of like skin it, but there's just a lot of things that you can try and over time just find your voice and your personality.
Yeah. So I know there's no one way to succeed in TikTok or to grow. There's plenty of different ways, right? But what are you doing right now that's helping your clients grow?
Yeah, so right now I'm more so focused on the client side of things. I guess that's one of the misfortunes about getting a little more demand as well. But anyways, that's a whole different conversation. What I actually just talked about this at AdWorld. I came up with a strategy based off of all the clients that I've serviced, and I put together all the key elements that I've found to work consistently. So basically, I call it the talk strategy, and I know it's really fucking witty, but it's spelled TOC. So essentially, you have T, which stands for trends, and I know I kind of dispatched on trends, but I do believe that for certain brands, they do play a part on the platform, which I'll get into in a second. Okay. O stands for original content, which is essentially like series-based content or content that no other brand can replicate, simply because you are plugging in your product or you're just being so personal with your audience that there's no way to actually duplicate that. And then the C stands for community. How do you actually integrate the community into your content process? And one of my favorite tools to actually do that is comment responses. And this strategy specifically, one of the reasons why I like it is because it focuses not only on outreach, but also audience nurturing. So what I've tend to found is that the original content pillar is what's going to breed the most success when it comes to virality, reaching new audiences, bringing in new followers. Let's say, for example, series-based content, right? You are making a video and it's like, okay, pick of the day, part 17, right? And you're outlining your picks, or basically you're just reviewing yesterday's picks, right? The thing is, if I come across that for the first time and I'm like, oh shit, this is interesting, part 17, I'm going to go back and actually watch part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way until I get back to 17, right? And the cool thing there is people are going to feel like, okay, chances are there's going to be a part 18, 19, 20, and so on and so forth as well. There's consistency within the series. I'm going to go ahead and drop a follow to this person because I want to see more of the specific content. So that is the type of content that really just focuses on outreach and bringing people into your ecosystem. Then the trend related content, again, I don't believe that a full on strategy for a brand is, say, for example, let's just make trends and adapt it to our brand like 100% of the time. I think that does have a home on TikTok. And I think that specifically does show people on the platform like, okay, these guys are hip, they're cool, I fuck with you. Yeah. You have my seal of approval to be on TikTok. Great. But that's more so audience nurturing as well. And occasionally you'll have one of those videos that kind of pops off. Then you actually have the C, which is community. Like I explained, comment responses. Comment responses are a great way to not only show your audience that you're actively listening to them, but additionally, you're also showcasing, you're creating sort of like a video-based FAQ, right? And you're kind of engaging with them and answering the questions that they may have. Let me put it into perspective. Let's say, for example, you comment on Nike's post and they choose to actually create a response to whatever question you may have had. That's going to make you feel incredibly special because A, you admire the brand, and B, they took the time to not only respond, but make a video based off of that, right?
Yeah.
The third thing that that does is other people actually see, holy shit, they responded to Fede. So what are the chances that they're going to respond to me as well? So it also encourages engagement. So I think that's a huge way to actually go about it. And the community pillar, I also, yeah, again, I'm obsessed. I've been thinking about this for a while. But anyways, in the community one, let's say, for example, you can also include like stitching and duetting with other popular figures within your specific niche, et cetera, to kind of like leverage their popularity a little bit.
Yeah.
And the third one would be commenting on viral posts. A lot of times you'll go into like an incredibly viral post and you'll notice that there's specific brands like just dropping a line, being super witty, or maybe just like being a little polarizing in a fun way. I think over time you're able to create sort of like a personality through commenting on viral videos. Other people are going to notice that as well. And it's also an added traffic source back to your profile. So that's kind of like a skeleton of the strategy that I outlined for all of our clients. And yeah,
bro, that was gold. I'm sorry to interrupt you twice there, man, but
no, you're good.
It's one of those. I was about to start taking notes, honestly, and I assume most people will. It was TOC, trends, original content, community. That was how you started growing. You know, one part that it's genius, man. But like it's talking to people like you that you start realizing the part 19 and part 20. When you do parts, it's true. And it's like I do that all the time. Like when I like something that's part 16, I'll go back, maybe not follow, but I'll go back and watch part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's like, why don't you implement it on your own business? Wow, bro. Yeah, that was
definitely.
That was one of those moments where I was like, it blew my mind. Now, in regards to your current clientele and your business, what's that look like right now? What's the next 5 to 10 years look like with that?
Great question. So I really do believe that short form content is still going to be around for the next 10, 15 years. I think it's king for the time being, or at least it plays a home into the bigger ecosystem. Yeah. So I really just want to focus on mastering short form content, not only for myself, but for clients. And I think what that looks like is being able to build a community of creators aside from myself, because my number one rule is I personally never create content for a client because that doesn't allow me to scale. So I rely on other actual creators to come in. We supply the strategy, we supply the scripts, and they're the ones that actually execute the content. So I want to be able to expand that creator list or that community so we can service a broad, like a broader niche of clients. So I think that's more immediate. That's not even a 5-year thing. That's the next 6-month thing. But in terms of like 5, 10 years, I'm at a point where currently I have what most people would call a lifestyle business. So I think it just comes down to me having a conversation with myself and being like, okay, do you want to take this to a serious level, or do you want to be able to maintain a lifestyle business? Aside from that, that's like business driven. I think me on a personal level, I want to expand my skill set as a creator. I'm actually working on a little bit of a side project right now, and I want to go into long form content and just make it a little bit more engaging, take my content to another level that basically people in my niche wouldn't actually be able to replicate.
Okay.
So I think that's my immediate goals for the next like 1 to 2 years in terms of my own personal content. And hopefully through that and doing it in an engaging way, I'm able to establish myself as an industry leader in a way that no one else has really done it. It's not like corporate lingo or anything. It's just me being me and me talking about the things that I absolutely love and showcasing them as well.
Yeah.
Teaching through showing.
For sure. For sure. Definitely that. So let me pick on the first topic, the first thing you said, which is you want to either scale it or keep your lifestyle business. That's one of those points I think in society, people like you and I that were young, that we have the e-commerce businesses, you get to that point because you're making good money, right? It's like money coming in and it's like more money than you were making before. So you're like, okay, I'm doing well. But then you also get to that point where you're like, at least the type of person I am, I'm like, okay, so like what's next? And
what's next?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm living comfortably, but like at the same time, I want to push to the next level. I'm curious to see where you're going to take that, man. I'll be here watching you for that. And in regards to the shorts, right? I feel like you could do that with YouTube and Instagram too, not just TikTok, or am I wrong?
100%. I think my focus, at least personally, is going to be primarily on YouTube in the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
I do think that YouTube at the end of the day does have so much market share, and people are just so used to consuming content a certain amount of way, a specific type of way, like I said, that YouTube is still king. And when it comes to monetization and all that stuff as well, it's very, very different. I will say this though, TikTok is interesting because a lot of people at first, they would compare TikTok to Instagram. And I don't even think they're in the same ecosystem. I think YouTube and TikTok are really like the closest thing you could call to a competitor. And the reason why I mentioned that too is the other day I was just browsing. I opened up a VPN and I went onto the Chinese version of TikTok called Douyin. And if you pull that up on desktop, it looks just like YouTube. Like you're presented with horizontal videos, you have sort of like a featured page, you have live streams and live shopping and all that. It's really, really interesting. So I think the future of TikTok looks more like YouTube than people actually realize.
And in the Chinese, and when you went through the website, did they have longer videos too?
Yeah, 100%. It was horizontal videos, anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. It was basically YouTube, but just in a way that I've never seen it formatted.
It's funny, man, because like TikTok's growing and now YouTube and Instagram are trying to copy the shorts, and then TikTok's trying to copy YouTube with just trying to get market share. I get that. And when you said you're trying to make longer content, right? Then that would be for TikTok and probably YouTube. Would you say something more like Mr. Beast, like creating content that, because his content's, nobody can replicate that?
Yeah. I think I wouldn't necessarily say Mr. Beast. I would say like so like a content idea that I have right now is how it's almost like spoofing the system. I want to make a sort of like a gag book, just like something incredibly ridiculous, and kind of like become an Amazon bestseller based off of that. Like a book that is incredibly irrelevant, just to expose sort of like the holes in the system and how a lot of people actually leverage that. So it's almost like the cross section of entertainment meets marketing and business in the real world. And hopefully I can take these fun concepts, but at the same time, throw in some tactical advice and educate people on how to execute certain strategies.
Wait, I want to go into this. So what type of content are you looking? What holes are you looking to exploit for the system?
I don't know. I think that would be a specific one because I don't know if you're too well acquainted with how like the Amazon bestseller actually works. And basically it's just a lot of people like rebuying their inventory so that they get their book actually boosted up, stuff like that, right? And if it's a digital product, even easier because all that money is just being funneled back into your business primarily. So yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot of ways that people have done that, and they use it for like credibility, just to have like a voice. Like you get on someone's Instagram and it says like, oh, #1 best-selling author. It's like, oh, okay, that's credible, and people aren't really gonna dig into it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a cool little thing. I think for other series too, just being witty with it. Something I have in mind is maybe like helping my friend get a date through TikTok ads, and kind of just like build out an entire funnel, instead of him going through like a dating app, showing people the process, the story, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to find a bridge between entertainment and, how would I say, entertainment and education in a way that I haven't necessarily seen before, taking inspiration from large creators as well.
I think at first I didn't grasp it, but now I feel like I grasped it a little more. And that is very unique if you try to combine it, because it's fun yet educational. And I feel like people will relate to it a little more. If you break down, because in a sense, let's say with the dating that you're saying, you build it for them, and then at the end of the day, explain how you did it and why it works and all that.
In a sense, yes, like touching on the points and the actual tactics lightly. It's not something that I want to, because I want to be able to appeal to a broad audience and without necessarily boring them out of them. And obviously, I think like a subliminal or a byproduct of the content that I create, I have two goals on my personal end. One is to be able to entertain and reach incredibly broad audiences, and two, in some form or fashion, be able to highlight my digital marketing skill set or my strategy skill set, to be able to attract clientele. So it's kind of like a balance of the two, and I'm still figuring it out. It's not something that's concrete, but it's just kind of an idea that's up in the air.
Yeah, man. Work in progress, step by step. You'll figure it out. And on top of that, you have time. You're young. Very impressive what you're doing, man. The way you speak about it and all that. And at the end, the podcast is called Winning Ways, and I like to pick on what got people to where they are, their success. So with you, were you big into like reading into this subject? What helped you get this knowledge and this experience that's helped you build this agency?
Yeah, dude. I think it's just, #1 is, for me, I felt like there was no other way. When you kind of like burn your ships, I guess you would say,
Mhm.
it forces you into a situation where you have tunnel vision and you're like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. And obviously, like, dude, Google 2022, you have access to the entire world, a library of resources. You can learn anything. I mean, even YouTube, TikTok, whatever it might be, all the information is out there. It's just like, how do you compile it to be able to actually learn it and execute? I will say one of the things I really, really like to emphasize is, when I was starting out, I was obsessed with learning. And I think that can also be a detriment to a certain degree. I've seen it so many times that people are just like, they use learning as a vehicle of procrastination to not actually execute. And I fell victim to that as well. So I think over time, I encourage people to learn and apply, and be very intentional with what it is that they want to learn. I actually think that that's one of the biggest issues with the modern day education system, is that they just pile all this fucking information on you that's relatively useless at the time of ingestion. And then when you go out into the real world, you're left scratching your head like, shit, I can't remember a damn thing.
Yeah.
And I think being able to learn for specific applications or for specific instances of the challenges that are being presented to you immediately, I think that's a great way to actually approach learning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, with the school system, we're taught to memorize rather than understand. And when you go into the real world, it's tough. I mean, the first couple of years for me were tough, trying to get
Yeah.
into everything around it, man. But Gerardo, thank you so much, man. This episode was phenomenal. I'm gonna go back, take notes. I still have it right here. Trends, original content, community. Like I have it right here. I'm gonna implement those plans and message you when my social media and TikTok are blown up. Like, my guy Gerardo helped me do this. But where can my
Beautiful,
audience
man.
find you, man? What's your social media and your websites?
Yes. So on all platforms, my social media is at the Gerardo Perez. Fairly simple there, and
Mhm.
you can find my website in my link in bio.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, this will be in the notes as always. Give this guy a follow. A lot to learn from him. As you can see, if you heard this whole episode, you know the guy's very knowledgeable with this. I'm gonna go back and take notes. Gerardo, thank you so much, man, for taking the time.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.